At the height of Mount Olympus, where white clouds intertwined with the golden sunlight, Zeus, the supreme god, gathered the gods for a solemn ceremony. The air was thick with anticipation, and the vibrant voices of the gods echoed across the hills. Dressed in a flowing white tunic that swayed gently in the divine breeze, Zeus raised his luminous scepter, his gaze firm and resolute. "Gods of Olympus," he began, his voice resonating like a soft thunder. "Today we celebrate not only the construction of this magnificent home, but also the commitment we have made to govern with justice and wisdom. May our actions be guided by harmony, not discord." The gods, each representing a facet of the universe, listened attentively. Hera, at his side, nodded with a proud expression, while Athena, the goddess of wisdom, watched with cautious curiosity. However, in the background, Poseidon, with his wavy hair and eyes like a stormy sea, could not hide the ambition that simmered within him. "Zeus," Poseidon interjected, his voice a deep echo, "the oceans are vast and unexplored. I believe the power that resides in the waters is as grand as the sky you govern. We must consider a balance between our realms." "Balance, Poseidon?" Zeus replied, his tone firm but not hostile. "Each of us has our domain, but unchecked ambition can be a storm that threatens everything we have built." Hades, in his shadowy corner, observed in silence. His penetrating gaze reflected the awareness that his realm, the underworld, was often overlooked. Though he did not speak, he knew that the desire for power and recognition could lead to a dangerous division among them. Hearing Zeus and Poseidon's words, he murmured to himself, "Ambition is a double-edged sword." As the ceremony continued, the atmosphere among the gods grew increasingly tense. Glances crossed, and a shadow of distrust began to loom in the air. Selene, a young goddess, watched everything attentively, sensing that the peace established there was fragile, like a spider's web in the wind. What began as a celebration could very well turn into a battlefield if hidden ambitions were not tamed. Thus, while Zeus proclaimed the unity of the gods, a whisper of betrayal and ambition began to take root in the heart of Olympus, foreshadowing that conflicts were just beginning. Selene walked through the streets of Athens, the soft light of twilight tinting the sky orange and purple. The murmurs of the crowd surrounded her, but her mind was distant, lost in the words of a prophecy she had heard in a whisper among mortals. "The daughter of the moon will bring chaos or salvation," the anonymous voice said. Although the city was vibrant with life, Selene felt a weight in her heart, an unease that made her look back, as if expecting the gods to follow her. "Selene, are you all right?" A young mortal interrupted her, his expression one of concern. "You seem distant." "Yes, just thinking," she replied, forcing a smile. "What are you doing here?" "I came to seek inspiration for my paintings." "The beauty of Athens never ceases to amaze me," he said, looking around. "You should join me. Art is a powerful way to capture moments." Selene nodded, but the worry consumed her. While the young man spoke about colors and shapes, she could not help but wonder about the prophecy. What did it mean to be the daughter of the moon? And how could this affect the gods? With a nod, she bid farewell to the young man and walked away, feeling that she needed to discover more. In a cave in the mountains, Selene found a magical artifact, a crystal pulsating with a silvery light. Upon touching it, visions began to dance before her eyes. Images of gods in conflict, an imminent war, and at the center, a woman cloaked in shadows, whose face reflected her own. Selene's heart raced. "What does this mean?" she murmured to herself. The energy of the artifact enveloped her, and she felt a deep connection with her past. "You must use your power," a voice echoed in her mind, but with caution. Selene withdrew from the cave, now aware that her destiny was intertwined with the gods and the prophecy. Upon returning to Olympus, a commanding presence awaited her at the entrance. Ares, the god of war, watched her with an enigmatic smile. "Selene," he called, his voice resonating like thunder. "What brought you back so soon? I heard rumors that you were mingling with mortals." She hesitated, the tension between them palpable. I found something. An artifact that reveals hidden truths. Ares tilted his head, curiosity gleaming in his eyes. And what did you see, goddess? What do you think can change? I'm not sure, Selene replied, her voice steady, but uncertainty still lingered. But I know there is a great threat approaching. We need to unite. Ares. Unite. Ares laughed, a cold sound that echoed in the sacred space. Do you really believe that's possible? Power is the only union that matters. And tell me, what would you do with the power you found? Selene looked into his eyes and saw the burning ambition. I don't intend to use it to conquer, Ares. I want to preserve peace. Peace, he repeated, scoffing. Is that what you desire? Peace is a fragile concept, and the gods were never made for that. Think carefully, Selene. You could be more than just a guardian of peace. You could be a conqueror. Selene felt a shiver. I'm not like you, Ares. I don't seek power for ambition. I want to protect those I love, whether they are mortals or gods. The tension grew, and Ares stepped closer, his eyes blazing like fire. Beware, Selene. Power can seduce even the purest. And I know that you, like me, have a side that yearns for more. Selene stepped back, her heart racing. She knew that the line between power and ruin was thin, and that the true battle was just beginning. Selene walked through the vast hall of Olympus, her heart pounding with a mix of anxiety and determination. The marble walls glowed under the golden light emanating from the statues of the gods, but none of it could quiet her mind. She needed answers about the prophecy that haunted her. The echo of her footsteps led her to Hera's throne, whose presence always commanded respect and fear. Hera, Selene began, her voice trembling. I need your help. I have been touched by prophecy and feel that Ares is plotting something against Zeus. The queen of the gods, with her piercing gaze, examined the young goddess. You are more perceptive than many believe, Selene. Ares has always had ambitions that lead him to challenge Zeus's authority. What do you know about this prophecy? Selene hesitated, recalling the whispered words among mortals that she had overheard. They say that a god, born of ambition, will bring about the fall of Olympus. And Ares, he is the embodiment of that ambition. Hera rose, her majestic figure dominating the space. Ares is a danger, and if he joins forces with Hades, the situation will become even more critical. You must act before it's too late. With these words, Selene felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She needed to find Hades, the god who, despite his dark reputation, might hold the keys to understanding what was happening. Knowing he often hid in the shadows of the underworld, Selene decided that would be her next stop. Meanwhile, in the shadowy realms, Hades watched the stars with a distant gaze. He understood Ares' ambition, but also perceived the fragility of the alliances among the gods. If Ares rises against Zeus, many will fall, he murmured to himself. But perhaps I can use this to my advantage. Ares, in turn, was in his own realm of war, surrounded by warriors eager for power and conquest. Olympus is no longer what it was, he declared, a fierce glint in his eyes. Zeus has become a weak ruler. He fears change, but I do not. The echo of his challenge reverberated through the walls of his palace as he began to shape his plans. Selene, now more determined than ever, sought out Athena, the goddess of wisdom, hoping she could shed light on her path. Upon finding her, Selene said, Athena, Ares is about to rebel, and I feel I have a crucial role to play. How can I use my power to expose this betrayal? Athena smiled enigmatically, her eyes shining with ancient wisdom. You must first understand the strength that resides within you, Selene. The true key to combating betrayal lies in recognizing your own worth and the power your lineage confers upon you. Use this to your advantage. Knowledge is your most powerful weapon. With these words, Selene felt a wave of courage. She had a purpose, and now, with Athena's guidance, she was ready to face the challenges ahead. The fate of Olympus depended on her actions, and she would not shrink before the darkness that approached. Selene was both nervous and excited as she prepared for the secret meeting in the heart of Olympus. The room was illuminated by torches casting dancing shadows on the marble walls. She had summoned Apollo and Artemis, her most trusted allies, to discuss the growing threat Ares represented. As she saw them enter, a sense of relief washed over her. "Thank you for coming so quickly," Selene said, trying to hide the apprehension in her voice. "The situation is more serious than we thought. Ares is plotting something that could destabilize all of Olympus." "I always knew he was ambitious," Apollo replied, crossing his arms. "But what exactly is he planning?" "He is seeking allies among the discontented," Selene revealed. "Hades has shown more receptiveness to him, and that worries me. We need to unite before it's too late." "Let me guess," intervened Artemis, her gaze steady. "You want us to stop him before he can gather enough strength for an attack?" Selene nodded. "Exactly. The only way to ensure peace is to dismantle this alliance before it solidifies. We need a plan." As they discussed, a sense of betrayal hung in the air. But before they could strategize, a loud crash interrupted the meeting. The door was burst open, and Ares entered, a sarcastic smile on his lips. "What do we have here? A clandestine meeting of the just? How delightful." The gods rose, ready to confront him, but Ares raised his hand, gesturing for them to stop. "Don't worry, I'm not alone," he signaled, and behind him, other gods appeared, revealing his allies. Those who once seemed loyal to Zeus, but were now on Ares' side. "Did you really think you could ignore me and continue your little games?" Ares laughed, his gaze challenging. "I am the future of Olympus, and well, you're just in my way." Selene, her heart racing, decided to act. "Ares, your blinded ambition will lead to nothing but destruction. Don't you see that this will only divide us?" "Division? No, my dear Selene, this is evolution," Ares replied, his eyes glowing with the fury of imminent battle. "And evolution does not wait for those who hesitate." The tension in the air was palpable, and Selene felt the weight of her destiny on her shoulders. It was time to show her true power. With a decisive gesture, she activated the magical artifact she had found. An intense light burst forth from the object, enveloping everyone in a brilliant aura. "See what the future holds for us," she proclaimed, as visions of destruction and ruin took shape before them. The scene showed the gods in ruins, Olympus in flames, and the land devastated. Ares' gaze faltered, and for a moment, doubt crossed his face. "This cannot be what we want," Selene said, her voice firm, echoing in the room. The vision seemed to penetrate their souls, and the battle, which had once seemed inevitable, now hung in uncertainty. The vision of Selene reverberated through the hall of Olympus like an echo of warning, bringing the gods to a state of unrest. Poseidon, who had always considered himself the ruler of the seas, looked at Ares, standing before him, and whispered uncertainly, perhaps power isn't everything. Ruin awaits us if we continue down this path of unchecked ambition." Ares, with a disdainful look, replied, "Coward. Selene's vision is nothing but a trick to make us hesitate. Power is the only truth we must embrace." His voice resonated with the ferocity of thunder, but behind his fearless gaze, a shadow of doubt began to form. Hades, observing the growing turmoil, smiled cunningly. He knew that the discord among the gods could be used to his advantage. Approaching Selene, he murmured, "This vision may be the key, young goddess. If you join me, we can neutralize Ares and reverse this war before it begins." Selene, her heart racing, hesitated, but soon realized that Hades' proposal might be the only way to preserve the harmony she so desired. "What do you have in mind?" she asked, her gaze determined. "Join forces, call upon the gods loyal to Zeus, and let's devise a plan. Ares doesn't expect an alliance between the underworld and Olympus to rise against him," Hades replied, his eyes sparkling with an almost contagious malice. The young goddess nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Then let's act quickly. We need to be one step ahead." The battle was inevitable. When Ares' followers, armed and determined, stormed the hall. Selene and her allies were ready. "For Zeus and for peace in Olympus," shouted Apollo, drawing his bow, while Artemis positioned herself beside him, ready to strike. Selene, realizing that the conflict was about to intensify, raised the magical artifact she had found. A radiant light emanated from it, illuminating the space and revealing visions of a dark future. "Look, see what awaits us if we don't stop Ares." Her voice echoed, and the gods hesitated, confronted by the terrifying reality. Ares, with a roar of anger, charged forward, but Selene, now confident in her power, unleashed a wave of energy that shook the room. "This war will bring no victory, only destruction," she shouted, as Ares' allies recoiled, stunned by the vision. The battle raged on, intensifying between the groups. Selene and Hades fought together, an unusual but effective pair. When they finally managed to repel Ares' followers, a tense silence hung in the air. However, Ares, realizing that the situation had become unsustainable, quickly withdrew, shouting, "This is not over. I will return, and you will pay for this." His voice dissipated into the shadows, leaving the gods in a state of apprehension and relief. Selene, panting, looked at Hades, who was watching her with a knowing smile. "The battle has been won, but the war is still far from over," he said, his gaze scanning the horizon. The young goddess knew that despite the momentary victory, the true challenge was yet to come, and the responsibility of protecting Olympus now rested on her shoulders. Selene walked through the sacred forest of Olympus, where the ancient trees seemed to whisper lost secrets. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, creating a pattern of shadows that danced around her. Anxiety pulsed in her chest. The revelation about Ares haunted her. What did it mean to be the daughter of Zeus and have a brother who sought power at any cost? If Ares is really an illegitimate son of Zeus, it explains his unchecked ambition, she thought. Determined to confront her father, Selene climbed the marble steps leading to Zeus's throne. The air was thick with tension as she entered the throne room. Zeus, seated on his majestic throne, looked at her with a mix of concern and pride. "Selene, what brings you here?" he asked. "Father, I discovered the truth about Ares," Selene said, her voice steady. "He is your son, isn't he? That explains his ambition and the resentment he feels towards you and all of us." Zeus sighed, his gaze distant. "Yes, I always knew. Ares was born from a moment of weakness, but I let him live believing he could redeem himself. Over time, he became a shadow of what he could have been. You knew and did nothing? This is a betrayal, not just against the gods, but against your own family." Selene exclaimed, indignation burning in her heart. "I believed that love and understanding could restore him. But now, I see that he is beyond redemption. And you, my daughter, possess the power to confront him." With this renewed determination, Selene withdrew the magical artifact from her cloak. Energy pulsed in her hands, and an intense light illuminated the room. "With this, I can confront him and bring peace to Olympus." Selene's determination was palpable. She knew the final battle was approaching. With the help of Poseidon and Hades, who joined her, Selene prepared to face Ares. The fate of Olympus depended on this. "Together, we can seal Ares once and for all," said Hades, his penetrating gaze fixed on the horizon. "Yes, for all of us," Poseidon agreed, his deep voice resonating with power. "Let's restore the balance," he threatened. With the artifact in hand and the courage pulsing within her, Selene was ready to face the storm that was coming. The fate of Olympus was at stake, and she would not hesitate to fight for what was just.